All right, college football and stuff here, coming at you with my week 3 picks for the 2021 college football season. Not as great of games as we had last weekend overall, but still got a few good ones, and I'm going to give you my picks on them. As always, if you enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of them, and if there are any games I don't cover in this video that you want to know my opinion on, leave a comment. I'll let you know what I think. All right, let's get right into the picks. First up, I'm covering UCF at Louisville on Friday. Uh, I think this is going to be an interesting game. Louisville looked pretty decent on offense against Ole Miss. They had some issues. It really to me looked like Louisville's whole team was their quarterback, but I thought he looked pretty good. Ole Miss is a good team. They're not good on defense really, but they're a great offense, and they're going to win some games and scare some people this season. I don't think UCF can get off to the same slow start they got off against Boise with. If they go down 21 points to Louisville, I don't think they win this game, especially not at Louisville. UCF a 7-point favorite, which is a pretty big point spread. A touchdown on the road. It's a Friday night game, which is kind of a weird time. You don't really see generally as much of a home field benefit in these sort of weird, the Thursday, Friday night games. Typically, you would take the home underdog here. Again, Friday game, I think it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit different. I think UCF is the more complete team here. I think Louisville is decent, but I just wasn't super impressed with them against Ole Miss. I don't think their quarterback really has the players around him. I think he's going to put too much on his shoulders, and UCF is going to get the win. He's going to have some mistakes there. I am taking UCF minus the 7 in this one, so UCF to cover in that game. Moving on to Saturday. First up, Cincinnati at Indiana. Cincinnati a 3.5-point favorite. Now this was looking like it was going to be an amazing game preseason. Some of that shine is gone after Indiana's bad loss to Iowa to start the year. Now, I think that game looks worse than it really was. Iowa got a bunch of takeaways, a bunch of turnovers. That led to a bunch of extra points for Iowa. And that's sort of been the story of Iowa so far this season. They've been able to force turnovers and turn those into points. So I don't know if that is Iowa being a really good turnover team, or if it's the two big teams they've played so far not being great at consistency and taking care of the football. We'll see in this game. Cincinnati has a very good defense. They are a defense that is comparable to a Power 5 team. I mean, they are not your typical group of 5. They are a very complete team. I mean, Cincinnati has, since the playoff era started, the best chance of being a group of 5 that makes it to the playoffs. I think if they go undefeated, they're in. Now, barring some sort of other craziness, especially with some of the big losses we've seen with some of these other higher-ranked teams. I think Cincinnati's defense is going to be the difference in this game. It's going to be a good win over a Power 5 for them. I think Cincinnati's defense is just that good. I think we see a similar thing to the Indiana-Iowa game where defense wins the game. Cincinnati has a great defense. Give me Cincinnati minus the 3.5 here. Michigan State at Miami. Miami a 6.5-point favorite. This is a tough game. This is probably maybe it's the toughest pick for me in this week's video. Michigan State has run the ball really, really well, and Miami has not looked great in either of their games. Now, one of those games was against Alabama, and I did not expect them to look good in that game. So I don't really take too much away from that. I think a lot of teams are going to look bad against Alabama this year, and I don't think it really means that much. Now, their game against App State was a lot more troubling. They should have looked better in that game. Now, on the Michigan State side, they've looked really good running the ball on offense. They gave up a ton of yards to Northwestern, though, and they won that game, and that's really all that matters. But I think there's a chance here for Miami to put up some points on this Michigan State defense, which is different than what we've seen historically under the previous coach at Michigan State, where they typically had a really good defense and struggled on offense. And I think this is a really tough pick. I am going to go with Miami in this game. I was high on Miami preseason. I might be wrong here. I was wrong about Missouri last week, although that was a really good game, that Kentucky-Missouri game. I mean, that was a great game to watch. I expected Missouri to be a little bit better. We'll see if I get burnt again on my preseason opinions here, in Miami just not being as good as I was expecting them to be. I am hoping that De'Aaron King sort of turns the corner here and sort of plays at the level that I think a lot of people were really expecting him to play. I'm going to take Miami minus the 6.5, but I am really, really not confident in that pick. Moving on to Alabama at Florida. I think this is a really important game. SEC game, could determine a big part of who wins the West and who wins the East, depending on how good Florida is. I think Alabama has shown that they are obviously an elite team. Now, it's interesting, Nick Saban has been really critical of their team, and he doesn't do that lightly, I don't think. Now, sometimes you'll see coaches, when they have a really good team, sort of talk a little bit, be more negative about their team than they normally would, because they want their players to stay focused and to not buy into the hype too much, the whole rat poison thing. I think Nick Saban genuinely sees some issues with their team, and historically with Alabama, when Nick Saban has talked like this, they have had to be tested. They have had a down game and then sort of turned the corner from there. I don't know if this comes against Florida. Now, Florida has not shown their full offense yet. I do not believe. I 100% believe Dan Mullen has sandbagged in their first two games. I think he has kept their offense very vanilla. I think they have probably been solely preparing for this game. And I don't think they needed to really do a whole lot of game prep for their first two games. I'm almost positive they have been, this has been the game that they have been preparing for probably all off season. Now, Florida gave Alabama a really big scare in that SEC championship game last year. And I thought that game was going to be a blowout, and Florida kept it really, really close. I think the difference this year is I am not sold on Emory Jones. The backup Robertson has looked way better. He may or may not be injured, though. And who knows what's going on there, really. Now, I think everyone can see that Robertson has looked like the better quarterback. But I don't think Dan Mullen is stupid. Uh, he's seen the same thing. He's a good offensive coach. There is a reason that Emory Jones is starting over Robertson. Now it may be that Robertson is a young guy. He has not had a lot of time in the program. He may not be at the level where he can run the offense fully on his own. And they've been playing against much weaker competition. I think Emory Jones is the safe bet at quarterback. I think Emory Jones is going to be the main guy in this game. I will be surprised if it's Robertson. I don't think this is the game to start a new quarterback in because Alabama is going to have a very good defense, and you don't want someone out there who's going to lose the game for you, who's going to make mistakes, fumble the ball, throw interceptions, that sort of thing. I have not liked Florida's defense so far this year. They did not have a great defense last year. Their defense is not looking great this year either. I think Alabama is going to be able to score points. Now the question is, how effective is Florida's offense going to be? I think either we're going to see a blowout on Alabama's side, or we're going to see a high-scoring, close game. Now, Bama in the past has struggled against mobile quarterbacks who are also very good passers. Now, Emory Jones is a very mobile quarterback, but I do not believe he is at the level of passing talent that Alabama really is going to struggle with. Now, he might be, again, Florida has not been showing their real offense, I do not think, at all. So he could come out there and really show some stuff off, and they could surprise Alabama. So I think Alabama's going to win this game. I think this is going to be one of those games where first, second quarter, maybe early third quarter, this is still looking like a very close game. And we probably see Florida surprise Alabama's defense a little bit in the first half. I think this is the kind of game where once maybe those early surprises are out of the way, we see Alabama blow it out, and they end up making, final score-wise, look like an easy win. I think this is going to be a game where at halftime you're thinking there's no way Alabama covers this game, and then at the end you're going to be, how did that happen? How did they cover on this game? I think they get a good win. Alabama 14.5-point favorite, just over 2 touchdowns. Really would much rather see that at 14 or just under, so you can get a push or an easier win on that bet. But I'm trusting Alabama here. I think the defensive issues for Florida and struggles at not having an elite quarterback are going to be the difference in this game. I think Alabama is going to be tested by someone in the regular season. I don't think it's going to be Florida, though. Give me Alabama minus that 14.5. Okay, last up, Auburn at Penn State. I think this is going to be a great game. I think this is probably the game of the weekend, as far as this is going to be the best game that you watch. Definitely watch this game. Whiteout game for Penn State. That stadium is going to be rocking. It's going to be a great environment. I think this is going to be a really, really good game. Now, to get things out of the way, I am an Auburn fan. I'm not gonna deny that. That's definitely, I have some bias here. So I think these are very, very similar teams. Neither team really trusts their quarterback. They're both I think we see the same game plan on offense and defense for both these teams. They're going to try to establish the run. They're going to try to get their quarterback in rhythm with some easy completions. And they're going to hope they don't need to rely on their quarterback on offense, and that their run game is enough to get them going. On defense, both of these units are going to try to shut down the run and pressure the quarterback. That's the winning game plan for both of these. Neither of these quarterbacks has looked good under pressure in big games. It's amazing, really, how similar Penn State's quarterback and Auburn's quarterback have been. Essentially the same quarterback. You could swap them team to team, and I don't think you would notice much difference. They are both very bad when they're pressured. Bo Nix has played, honestly, like terribly in road games against elite defenses. Now, part of that, I think, is Gus Malzahn's offense. Now, a lot of the Malzahn offense relied on establishing the run and then hitting deep passes, plays that took a long time to develop, in play action. And that was not something that worked with Bo Nix on the road. He very rarely had check down routes that were good check downs. They could actually make reads on. They were plays where you were designed to get a specific person open, and this is who the ball's going to, and that's decided pre-snap. Now, under Harsin's offense, he, at least in these first two games, have had much more checkdowns, much more options for the quarterback to throw to. I think better route trees for the wide receivers. I think Bo Nix is going to look better than he has under the previous coach. I don't think he's going to be a world beater. Some of the issues are still there watching the first two games by Auburn. Now, Auburn didn't play anyone. They played one of the worst FBS teams, possibly the worst FBS team in Akron, and they played an FCS team. Now, they did what they needed to do in those games. They blew those teams out, which is what you should do when you're playing an inferior team. And that's something that Auburn hasn't done in the past. Very often over the past few seasons, they have played down to opponents. I mean, I think it was 2016, it was 2015 or 2016, Auburn in the opening game went to overtime with Jacksonville State, an FCS team that just beat Florida State this past week. They took care of business in these first two games, which is all you can ask a team to do playing an inferior team. You should see a blowout there. If you don't, that's a bad sign. It doesn't really mean anything if you do blow them out, other than you're not terrible. So I do like the consistency we've seen from Auburn to start this season. Now, Penn State's side, the Wisconsin game, that was a great win for them. It was on the road, hostile environment. They got done what they needed to get done there. Now, stats-wise, Wisconsin really dominated that game. They had way more time of possessions. They had way more plays. They had more yards. Wisconsin won that game in every metric except for turnovers, and the one that matters, points. So that's an interesting game there. I think Wisconsin's defense is probably better than Auburn's. Wisconsin always has a good defense. I do think Auburn is going to have a really good defense this year. I'm not willing to say at this point that Auburn's defense is going to be as good or better than Wisconsin's, though. These teams are really, really well matched. You have some slight edges in a couple of position groups, but I don't think any of these, I don't think there's any big difference in talent or how they're going to play on either side of this. I think Auburn is very slightly better at linebacker, and I think Penn State probably has a better defensive line. Um, so this is going to be an interesting thing. I think Auburn is going to possibly be better at shutting down the run in the short pass game. I think Penn State might be better at getting pressure. Now, this comes down to how Auburn's O-line plays. If Auburn's O-line does not play well, if they can't get gaps for the running backs to run through, if they can't protect the quarterback when they need to throw the ball, it's going to be a really, really tough night for Auburn. Now, I think Auburn has a slight edge on running backs. Tank Bigsby is absolutely an elite running back. He's one of the best running backs in the country. And he's got some good depth behind him. Shaun Shivers is a very talented and experienced back. And then the true freshman, Yarkes Hunter, is looking like he's going to be amazing. Now, I think a lot of Auburn fans are expecting to see a lot of Hunter in this game. I'm not convinced of that. I think Shaun Shivers ends up being the second back, but I don't know. They changed the depth chart. It is now at the number 2 spot, Shaun Shivers or Hunter. So we'll see. I will be interested to see if he gets the majority of the backup carries, or if it's Shaun Shivers, or if we see more of a split between them. But I do think that's going to be a big benefit for Auburn in this game, of having that talent at the backup position. I think they're going to be able to rotate running backs a little bit and keep people keep them fresh and not wear down any single back in this game. And I don't think you're going to see a big drop off when the backups are in there. Now, Tank Bigsby is the best running back on the team. It's very obvious. He's probably the best overall player on the team. Definitely on offense, maybe the team as a whole. I think this is going to be a very good, very close game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Now, I do think there is a chance, if either of these defenses is able to shut down the run game and get pressure on the quarterback, I think that team, I think the other team is going to struggle. And there is a very good chance, if the run game isn't working and the other team is getting pressure to your quarterback, that quarterback is going to throw some interceptions. We've seen it from Bo Nix. We've seen it from Clifford. I think that could be a game changer. And if you see that happen on either side, I think it turns into a blowout for the team that's able to get that pressure. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. My biggest questions are with Auburn's offensive line, how good of a job they do, and with Auburn's defensive line against that Penn State line, who also has some questions there. Again, I think this is going to be a very close game. I think the home environment, the whiteout game, it's a huge game. It's going to be a crazy environment there. It's going to be loud. The home team is going to have an advantage. In a close game, I think you have to give the benefit of the doubt to the home team here. I think Penn State wins a close game, but I think it's closer than the spread says. And I think this game could go either way. Auburn could definitely win this game. I'm going to take Penn State to win a close one, but I think Auburn beats the spread here. I think Auburn +6 is going to be my pick. Now, I'm not super confident in that. I think the best bet in this game is going to be the under. The over-under is at 53. I don't think there's any way we see over that. I think both of these teams stay under 25 points. I think we might see both teams stay under 20. I would not be surprised by a 20 to 14, 17, 13 type game here. I think betting the under is your best pick on this game. But against the spread, I'm taking Auburn plus the 6 points. All right, that's the games I'm covering this week. Again, if you have any other games you want to hear my opinion on, let me know in the comments and I'll hit you with my opinion. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more of them, click the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing these every week. I'll see you next time.